Are we rolling? Yes, we are. What's up, guys? It's your boy McKinley Crain here, and today I'm going to be doing my spoiler-free movie review of the 2019 remake of the original 1990s movie Battle Angel, which is the live-action version, which is Alita Battle Angel. So I haven't seen the original like movie that this movie was based on, but I have seen this movie, like the live action Alita Battle Angel from 2019. Um, um, this movie takes place in the 26th century in a like a I can't remember what the town is called, the city is called exactly, but it's like a cyberpunk city. This is like a dystopian cyberpunk movie. It's an action movie. It's like a comedy action movie. It's like a dystopian cyberpunk comedy action movie, if that makes sense. And it was a little bit better than I expected it to be. I expected it to be great, but not as great as it was. It was a little bit better than I expected it to be. Um, so this movie stars um, Rosa Salazar as Alita. Um, yeah, like if you just saw that, you're probably just like, oh, why does she have like such huge eyes? Um, because she's like, actually, there are like other cyborgs in this movie that don't have huge eyes, but she has huge eyes. That's never explained. Um, she just has huge eyes. Anyway, Alita is a cyborg. So a human, but with like mostly robotic body parts. Like she has a human brain, but in a robot body, if that makes sense. And she was found in a scrapyard by Dr. Dyson Ito. Was it Ito or Ido? I can't remember. I think it's Ito. Dr. Dyson Ito, who's played by Christoph Waltz. Who was like her mentor, um, aka father figure in this movie. Um, and he repaired her. And I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, this sounds like the craziest movie ever. And it is a pretty unique movie. It's not your average movie. It's not a normal movie, if that makes sense. Um, it's a weird movie in a good way. It's like the good kind of weird, which is unique. The word for that is unique. So it's a very unique movie with very unique visuals and a very unique art style. Um, well, not art style because this isn't an animated movie, but the CG and stuff, is like very unique looking. Um, and so basically, Alita in this movie, basically, um, you know, her memory is gone, and she wakes up when she's repaired, and her brain is basically in a new body. Well, not entirely, but in a partial new body, if you know it, and mostly in a mostly new body. And she has amnesia. She can't remember who she is. Um, and so basically, she has to find everything out again. I mean, she can talk, she knows how to talk and stuff, but she doesn't like, know where she is or how things work. And in this movie, she meets her love interest, who is like, who like helps her get used to, like get used to basically get used to everything, and like mostly explains to her how everything in the city works. Who is Hugo, who is played by Kian Johnson. And this movie, it has its fair share of like, twists and turns, little twists and turns, and they're all great. This is a great movie. It's just not a perfect movie. Um, there's nothing wrong with it. Everything in here is great. It's just that nothing in here is perfect, if that makes sense. Um, so basically, the villain in this movie is Vector, who's played by Mahershala Ali, who basically um, is like, he's just like, kind of like a, you could say, a futuristic mafia boss, if that makes sense, like crime lord, kingpin. He like basically attacks cyborgs, if you know what I mean, and like, steals their, robotic body parts, and basically sells them on the black market for money, which is wrong. And he basically, he, Mahershala Ali, like, is perfect for this character. Like, was the perfect choice for this character, in my opinion. He was a perfectly cast villain. This whole cast is great. Um, in my opinion, the whole cast, like the whole main cast, gives equally great performances, and were great. You know, acting as their character in this movie. And this movie has some really strong acting in it, and some really, you know, surprisingly, touching moments and emotional moments that work and are really well done. And this movie is very well acted. I There was some strong acting in this movie, um, especially from like the main cast, which I just mentioned. There's a lot of great character chemistry in this movie, especially between Hugo and Alita. Um, but there's some, there's some, there's also some other great character chemistry in this movie. Not just between those two characters. The action in this movie is great. It's it's just great, and it's really fun to watch, and it's very well, very well done. The CG in this movie is very, very realistic looking and very unique looking. Um, this movie, this movie can get surprisingly very dark at certain times, like sometimes during the movie. It can get unexpectedly dark. Although for most of the time it's very lighthearted, but it's like dark in a good way, and it benefits the movie. And so does the lightheartedness. It's a perfect, not a, it's a great balance. Um, it's like a great balance between those two um, types of tones. And this is a really great movie. A lot of people, a lot of people on the internet, like I like say that this movie is better than Captain Marvel, since the they were both of these movies both were like 2019 like female-led action movies. I would disagree with that. However, Captain Marvel, in my opinion, is a perfect movie. And this isn't a perfect movie, but it is a great movie. Like I love both of the films, but Captain Marvel was better in my opinion. Was just a better movie. Anyway, back on the subject of this movie. This movie is a very fun movie. With very fun, just very fun moments. You know, all of the acts in this movie, like the first act, second act, third act, were all great. Although my personal favorite act is the first act. The first act was a little bit significantly better than the other acts in this movie, than the other two acts in this movie. Although all three of the acts in this movie are great, the first act was my favorite. I just found it to be the most fun, the most entertaining, and the most interesting out of the three acts. Although they're all very fun, interesting, and entertaining acts out of a very fun, entertaining, and interesting movie. But the first act, it was just a little bit better than the other acts in my opinion. Although all three of those acts are great, and this movie is great. The first act was just the best. Anyway, I really enjoyed this movie. I know it's not everybody's, cup of tea, but it is my cup of tea. I just had a really fun time watching this movie, and I'm excited for the sequel. Because this movie kind of does like have an ending that it's one of those endings that like basically sets itself up for a sequel. And the director says that it might be happening. It's probably happening if he can make it happen. And I'm excited for the sequel. And I heard a rumor that Disney Plus is developing a live action prequel series for this movie, and I'm excited for that too. I'm not entirely sure it's a true rumor or not, the rumor's true or not, but I'm still excited. Anyway, I'm gonna give this movie an 86% out of 100%, which is the equivalent of an A-. Like, subscribe, join the notification squad. I will return.